Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts about the 40K universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Inquisition as we get into a specific Inquisitor, Gideon Ravenor. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day. And, of course, if you have any suggestions, if you guys would like to see the lore of a character in a video, comment down below. Give us your request, and we will try our best to make it. Again, you can jump on over to the wiki page and read all this awesome lore. And spoiler alert, this lore is coming from a lot of books that you would find in the Black Library. So if you're reading anything on Gideon Ravenor, on Eisenhorn, spoiler alert. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on Gideon Ravenor. Gideon Ravenor was an Inquisitor of the Ordo Xenos, and one of the Inquisition's most powerful psychers. Gideon Ravenor was born in the year 304 of the 41st millennium. His planet of origin is unknown, though due to the Inquisition's strict recruitment standards for psychers, Ravenor was likely indoctrinated at the Adeptus Astra Telepathicus Scholicia Psychana from childhood. As a young man, Ravenor was assigned by the Ordo Xenos as an interrogator in the infamous Inquisitor Gregor Eisenhorn. In time, Eisenhorn came to regard Ravenor as his foremost pupil and the ideal Inquisitor. One of his early missions was his effort to silence Zygmunt Moloch, a heretic from the dangerous Cognitai, a chaos cult disguised as an academy in the Scaris sector. Moloch was appointed by the Cognitai's Madame Chase to be a part of the Cognitai's Ordion's team to help with a venture involving setting up several arcane mechanisms on the Sleef outer world, intended to capture and control warp energy. The planet was covered in thousands of plasma vents that contained the energies of the warp and which the Cognitai devices could capture and store. Ravenor and his team caught up with the Chaos cultists and stopped them. Ravenor assumed Moloch, who was the lone remaining survivor of the Cognitai operatives, was dead after he threw himself into one of the plasma vents. What Ravenor did not know was that Moloch had been teleported to the starship October Country moments before his death, though he had been burnt very badly by the plasma, and his face had been largely disfigured by the burns. During his time as an interrogator in Eisenhorn's retinue of acolytes, Ravenor enjoyed a long relationship with a Carthenian swordswoman. This love affair came to a swift halt when the woman was slain by a Dark Eldar homunculus from the cabal of the Fell Witch during the cleansing of a xenophile cult on the world of Leth 6. Shortly after his grave personal tragedy, Ravenor participated alongside his master in a great triumph on the world of Tharisian Primus to celebrate the success of the Ophidian Crusade. Due to the machinations of the radical Inquisitor Quissos, the triumph ended in blood-soaked horror when the parade was attacked by the Chaos-influenced aerospace fighters and 33 Alpha and Alpha Plus rogue psychers, whom were freed from their holding tanks. Eisenhorn escaped unharmed thanks to the demonic intervention of the warp entity Cherubale, who saw future potential in Eisenhorn's existence. Ravenor, on the other hand, was horrifically crippled, suffering third-degree burns over the entirety of his body, and he was reduced to a barely animated shell. Unable to speak or even move, he had to be consigned to an enclosed force chair, unable to survive without the chair's elaborate life support system to sustain him, and incapable of physical interaction with his environment, except through his chair's auto-senses and voice synthesizers. Though physically incapacitated, Ravenor's psychic abilities flourished, despite or perhaps because of his injuries and sensory deprivation. Thanks to this psychic power, Ravenor was still able to continue his service to the Inquisition, and after his health had stabilized, he was promoted to a full Inquisitor status, on the recommendation of Gregor Eisenhorn. In the year 402 of the 41st millennium, Ravenor and his team investigated the illegal trade in warp-tainted glass, so-called Flex, which had surfaced as a drug on the hive world of Ustius Majoris. After a long and perilous inquiry, Ravenor discovered that the Fleck trade was just a byproduct of a far greater conspiracy. The government of Subsector Angulus had hired a cartel of rogue traders to illegally import high-powered cognitators from the desolate and heavily warp-tainted Vinicius subsector. These chaos-infused machines were then used to crack Enuncia, the fundamental control code of the universe, With the right command words and the empowered patterns he had laid down in the architecture of Ustias's Major's hive cities, the condemned heretic Theodore Kadsky, the lord of the subsector Moloch, planned to make himself into a godlike demonic being. The Lord Governor of the subsector, Oskar Ludov Bazar, and the Chief Provost Jader Trice were in charge of the plot, and they made use of the Magisterium's interior cases to enforce the plot's security and make sure the truth of what they were planning did not reach Unwanted Years. In truth, the governor was actually Moloch, Gideon Ravenor's old enemy. In the attempt to activate the mechanism that was actually the city of Petropolis, Moloch used the Enuncia to restore his ravaged body. Ravenor once again thwarted him, but not exactly as he planned. Ironically, the flex, which spread only because of the greed of the government's hired traitors, was what made Moloch's master plan fail. Ravenor's vain interrogator, Carl Thonius, who had become addicted to the flex during the investigation, happened upon a fleet which contained the essence of an unimaginable powerful demon called Slight. Step by step, and without Ravenor's knowledge, Slight manifested itself through Thonius, a process that granted the interrogator terrible powers. Only the intervention of the possessed Thonius allowed Ravenor's team to foil Moloch's plan, and the heretic was forced to flee. Thonius successfully contained the demon within himself for a long time, but during Ravenor's final confrontation with Moloch on Gundrun in the year 404 of the 41st millennium, Slight finally manifested itself fully, and thereby destroying the body and the soul of Carl Thonius. Only the combined powers of Ravenor and Moloch, aided by the stable warp power and psychic sorcery, allowed the team to banish the demon back to the realm of chaos. Afterwards, Ravenor executed Moloch for his crimes against the Emperor, and turned himself over to the Inquisition, confessing everything. After a long and thorough interrogation and purification process, Ravenor was acquitted of any chaotic taint, but his good reputation was forever soiled, and he was for the rest of his career, as he was labeled as the radical by the Puritan peers in the Inquisition. He was retired from the Inquisition for a time, though he eventually was placed back into active service to hunt down and sanction his former mentor, Eisenhorn. Whether he has succeeded in this endeavor is still unknown. In his early years as an Inquisitor, Ravenor subscribed to the more radical inquisitorial philosophical sects and One Mind Syndicate. He has been known to cooperate with worthy aliens and to use his psychic abilities to predict the future. Some years after the disaster on Thracian Primus, Ravenor even apprenticed himself to an unknown Eldar Farseer to learn divination. The knowledge and allies he gained through this pact made it possible for him and Eisenhorn to defeat the Arch-Traitor Pontius Glon on the planet 5213X, and thereby, according to the Farseer, save the galaxy and the Imperium of Man from utter destruction. In time, Ravenor's stance towards divination seemed to change. During his investigation of the Contract 13 cartel on Ustias Majoris, he claimed to loathe Farseeing because of the confusing and madness-inducing aspects of the resulting prophecies. It is unclear when Ravenor changed his view, but his newfound aversion did not stop him from using Eldar artifacts, or from trusting prophetic visions when they presented themselves. Despite his often unorthodox methods and powerful psychic ability, Ravenor was for a long time seen as a Puritan by the political factions within the Inquisition. This view was probably a product of Ravenor's published philosophical works and his reclusive lifestyle. And those were 40 facts on Gideon Ravenor. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, or whatever social media you guys use. It really helps out the channel, and it's going to provide you with more videos if you help us out by sharing these types of videos. Just out of curiosity, how many of you guys actually play or have a friend who plays the Inquisition? I know back in the day, nobody played the Inquisition. The models were metal, so if you played the Inquisition, you kind of had to play Sisters of Battle, and honestly, I never saw any Sisters of Battle players, and I never even seen anybody buy the models or anything like that. But now, with the introduction of the Sisters of Silence and the introduction of the Adeptus Custodes, I feel like more people would play the Inquisition, because you can pair the Inquisition with them very well. Also, Scutari. I feel like if you play those smaller factions, you kind of have to play them in groups. Like if you play Skitarii, the model line for Skitarii is too small for you to be satisfied, so you're going to jump over to the Adeptus Custodes, the Sisters of Silence, and you're going to like ally all of them. At least that's how I feel. Comment down below if that is what you do. I kind of want to do that because I love the fact of creating my own lore around an Inquisitor. Inquisitors are like basically rogue traders in the sense that you can throw anything at them and it will make sense. They can ally with aliens. They can ally with chaos. I mean, in this situation, you saw that one of the acolytes was controlled a demon within his own body. So there's a lot of room for fluff and lore with the Inquisition, so it really draws me into creating an army. There's also this really awesome Instagram channel. It's this guy who has an Inquisition army, and he throws in some Space Wolves figures. I wish I could remember the name. If you jump on over to our Instagram, you can find us by just searching for One Mind Syndicate. We've given him a shout out. He has way more followers than we do, but his army really inspires me to, like I said, start my own Inquisition army. Little by little, I think I am gonna go that route once I'm done with my Imperial Fists and my Orcs. That's going to take forever. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to me ramble. If you guys like our content, support us on Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos. If you can't, simply by liking, commenting, and sharing, it helps out the channel. And thanks so much for everything, and I'll see you tomorrow. This is Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.